Oh my goodness, I am so juiced because finally the freaking soul-fueled money summit is here. And honestly, I have picked the best people to dive into this journey with me and with you. Um, Gosh, I have so much to say about the summit, and I'm going to keep it really sweet and really short. But for me, I have really realized I've been in business for almost 10 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that now. And I've really found that, like, if it's not ridiculously juicy, really fun, magical, like exciting, and really like life-giving, for me personally, it's not worth it. Because I think for women like me and women like us, and everyone who's going to be watching this later, I know that for you, it's more than just a transaction. It's more than just a business. It's like a calling. It's your mission. It's your impact in the world. It's your juice. It's part of your soul. And so for me, like every time I've tried to do the things like just really like, transactionally and just like, let's just get things done and let's just focus on our heads. It's like all of the fun, the enjoyment, but also all of the results, the money, the sales, the number of clients just have like vanished. And so that's why I was like, I need to like do this summit. I need to bring the right people on board to talk about this. And we've got the coolest and most exciting people, and you're gonna fall in love with them. You're gonna want to hire everyone that you listen to, which I'm really excited about. And what we'll do is we'll just dive right in. And I just know that you're going to have so many huge breakthroughs in your business for your revenue, for like your money explosion, but also like where you fall madly, deeply, head over heels in love again with your business, where it feels so like giddy and where you literally like can't not do it. And when you like think about it on the weekends, because you're like, I can't wait to get back into it. That's where it gets surreal and dreamlike. And Courtney was like, yes, because that's why I chose Courtney to be on here. So what I'm gonna do is I have so many cool questions for Courtney, and she's just gonna dive right in. And what I like to do is I like to just go because I find that you're gonna just like get to know this human in front of you so much better by her just answering questions. So I'm just gonna dive right in. So Courtney, so I would love to know for you, what does it actually mean to feel turned on in your business? And how do you know when you're in that state?
Oh my gosh, I'm literally exploding from that introduction. I'm like, yes, to everything. Oh, that was so divine. Firstly, thank you for having me. Thank you for choosing me. This is just an offering, this incredible opportunity. So, how do you know? How do you know when you're turned on? How do you know when it's feeling good? You're not in your head. You're not thinking. There's not a thinking space. And I know I say like it's a flow state, but it's actually electric. Things are moving at a certain speed, and that is probably one of the key, like tangible things I can pin it on is that the time between the download coming in, the idea coming through, the message being received, whatever you want to call it, and your action is very quick. That's
Oh,
when you're in your flow state. That's when you're like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. As soon as you start coming back into here, and I love this because I'm a neuropsychologist, my background's in neuroscience. So I'm literally like studying the brain for 100 years to tell people to come back to their heart. But
how
as soon
funny.
as I know, right? As soon as you start, but what about this funnel and how much? And what about if I charge 100? No, I'll charge a bit less. And then you know that it's like a clear sign that you're up here, you're in this space. So I feel like it's that vibrancy, but also the speed. Because when it's heart speed, it's quick.
Oh,
Things
it's
move
so
really fast.
quick. You don't understand, Courtney. I'm getting like First of
Chill.
all, I'm thinking about all my humans in my world who are like on my email list, clients of mine, my audience, my world, and I'm like, they're gonna be like obsessed with you. Like that's the first thing that came to my mind. And then also like you're using language for something that I have experienced a million times over. And yet like it's so cool hearing it from someone else, like being described in a way where you're like, that's exactly what it is. And it's like you're so right that like heart speed is so fast. Like heart speed is like, I know, yeah. And it's like it lands, but there's no reason. Like I talk often about the fact that it feels like nonsensical, like it's illogical, like it doesn't make sense based on like the rules and based on what you're doing currently and like based on what's been happening and based on like your current setting and your current environment and like what's going on in your business. Like it like yesterday I decided to sign up to a program for like the second year and I've only been in for like a week and a half. Like that's weird. Like that's that in no way is that like head based. Like my husband would be like, did you even like think about this at all? And it's like, no, I didn't. I just I just know I feel that it's right. So I want to dive into the next question because I want it all to be about you because I'm so curious about your world. Okay, so oh, this is so good. Have you ever had a time in your business where you have lost that spark? And this might have been prior to your current business, but either way, I'm curious to hear. Um, and what helped you reignite that like spark, that fire, that magic, that aliveness?
Oh, I love this. And I love this for twofold because I think sometimes we forget that we're human. We forget that we're human and we forget that the whole experience and really business, entrepreneurship, creating something from your heart and putting it out in the world, it's such a soul game as well, isn't it? Because you have to overcome your human. You have to overcome all
Mm.
these different ceilings and layers and parts of you to stretch and stretch again and stretch again. And so if you want your business to evolve, you have to evolve. You have to evolve. And
Mm.
in that, of course, there's going to be times, and this is probably just to
Oh, this is
normalize
so good.
the process. Of course, there's going to be times where you're not lit up. And I think sometimes when we don't give ourselves the space to have the cycle and
Mm.
trust the cycle and know it's a process, we create problems that don't exist,
Oh,
right? So we
so
get in our
true.
heads and we're like, oh my gosh, it's my content and it's my this and it's the price point and it's the whatever it is in whatever business, as opposed to, wow, maybe I'm going into a contracted state in order to rebirth again, in order to rebirth again. Now, when I come into those states, I celebrate. I
Did
literally celebrate. I'm like, whoa. And the bigger the contraction, I'm like, oh, something huge is coming. Because every time I can see the cycle now. So it's not so much of like, this is so bad and wrong. It's bad and wrong. I don't like to use those terms, but it's disempowering if you stay, like we said before, in your headspace and you can't move yourself out of it. That's when support is so potent. But if you're going through an evolution of your business, of yourself, you are going to be contracted. You are going to be not lit up at times. Getting myself back into that space, because I've worked with, I know we've worked with similar mentors and things like that. And I've worked a lot with social media mentors because just really trying to refine my craft online. And one of the biggest breakthroughs I had, because you hear so many things about what you
yeah, I
have to do.
know. I know.
Oh, like follow this rule. Post every day. You're in your growing season. Make sure you're doing 7 reels, 2 carousel. Like it's so much.
So much.
And the more mentors I work with, and I'm select, so I'm not like I don't have 100 mentors, but I probably worked with a good handful or so now. I'm like everyone I work with is lit up by their process. Everyone is lit up by their process. And then I remember having this conversation with my husband one day after working with another mentor, and I really got my gems from her. And I said, I know what the code is. And he's like, what? And I'm like, everyone's process works for them because everyone is lit up by their own process,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes. 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 Like a million. I've worked with so many eight-figure business owners, and they all have different strategies and they all do things differently. And it's exactly what you just said.
Exactly. And so we go in, and I think this is where I've gone into disempowered energy and then had to really activate myself out of it because I've gone in and gone, oh, okay, you've done this, I'll do this. And my whole body is screaming no. Like I work very
Yeah.
much with the body, with the intuition now. My whole body's screaming no. I'm trying to write a reel and it feels wrong and da da da. And all of this because I'm trying to follow this blueprint of someone else's. It's not my own. And so really, I think that's when we start getting disempowered. And it's like, what actually feels good? As
Mm.
you said before, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it doesn't make sense, what feels really good because it's always the energy behind it, always. And when I realize this now, I still work with other women, I still work with my own mentors, but I take my gems and I trust my process of like, I don't post every day. I post 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Sometimes I'm ovulating. I'll post 5 times a week, like twice a day, and other times I won't. And it's completely in alignment with me taking the gems. There's 5% strategy. Absolutely. You can't deny that. But at the same time, the bigger movement, the biggest thing is going to be you, is going to be how you feel about it.
I Yeah, I just feel like I've never felt more like this is like a mirror for what I believe. So I guess that's why this is just like so good because also the language that you use is just so easy to, I think, like to digest for people. Like I know when they're watching this, they'll be like, it's like what they always felt in their heart, but now someone is speaking it out loud. And I think it's exactly what you said. Like it'd be different if you have no experience, but like exactly as you put it, and same with me, it's like I've worked with so many eight-figure men and closely, like either one-on-one or in a close small mastermind group. So I know not just like what they show on, I know like the ins and outs, like I've asked every question in the book, and it's exactly what you're describing. It's like it's not so much that that one strategy works, like the millions of different strategies work, but it's like, are you actually lit up by that strategy? And if you're not, then you know then it's not for you. And then but something that I also want to reflect, which was so good, because I'm sure people are like really feeling into this, is you said I've realized that I want my bit where I don't know if you, I'm paraphrasing and I'm maybe butchering it, but you like, I want to continue evolving. I want my business to continue evolving. I want to experience this evolution and this growth, right? And then with that comes the what you described as like a rebirth. So like a contraction and then an expansion, a contraction. And it makes me think of the stock market where it's like there's constant volatility, but there's always an upward trend. And that's how I see my business, my life, but every area of my life as well. It's like there's going to be that natural volatility because that's beautiful. And in a way, that's like nature. If you go into nature, it's not just like this perfect straight line. But there is, I believe, there's always an expansion and an upward trend, just like the universe that's always scientifically expanding. So that's like a literally like a thing, and we are part of the universe. um and I guess I'm just like really curious because this is something that I'm so like, oh, what's she gonna say about this, because this is what I this is kind of like a sticky point that I'm really curious to hear, because on the one hand, it's like follow the juice, right? Like follow what feels good, follow what's like lighting you up, that's what's exciting you, what's pulling you, right? And then on the other hand, what I have noticed sometimes is sometimes we can be living in our old paradigms and our old constructs and our old, you know, patterns. And so, in a way, what feels good is not necessarily our most expansive next level. So, I'll use an example for me. Like growing up, because I moved like countries every 2 to 4 years, I always had like a gazillion different friends and I left friends very quickly. So I learned that that's just what you do. So I still do that to this day. And only recently I've like built some more solid friendships, but I'm even now, even to this day, I have to like question myself. I'm like, am I removing myself from this friendship because it's genuinely like I've evolved so much and we're like no longer on the same wavelength because I'm always growing so fast? Or is it that like I'm following an old pattern of like detaching when things get a bit stale or when I feel like I'm growing too much and they're not evolving or whatever? And it's like I'm really curious for you, like how do you differentiate like whether something's like, okay, yeah, this is what feels good versus like is it that it feels good because it's what you've always known and it's like your old patterning?
Oh, this is so,
I'm
oh
so
my God,
excited to hear
like
your answer.
the
I'm like,
way. Oh, I feel like I have to let that one like land for a minute because the layers of this,
I
like
know
the
there's a lot.
like, and this is when I say the layers, it's like this is literally this is what I do with my client. This is literally what I do. I'm like, where is the subconscious? Let's look behind because you can have a super successful, oh my gosh, it's exploding every day, wild business, there's so much money coming in, and you've had, just for lack of a better example, a crazy chaotic childhood, right?
Yes,
Like, and
yes.
so you have this business and it's exploding, and on paper it looks amazing, but it's chaos and it's chaos and it's chaos again. And so what happens? You end up burning out. Your nervous system can't hold it. You might burn it to the ground and self-sabotage, whatever it might be, because the subconscious is coming forward. And even though it's like, oh my gosh, this is so successful, I'm achieving, I'm growing, I'm expanding. It's like, what is your actual experience of it though? Like, is your experience of it, as you're saying, like you're moving into it and it's feeling good, or is it like it's more of the same? And it is initially, it can be really challenging, not impossible at all, but it can be harder to see a pair of glasses that you've been wearing your whole entire life, right?
Yes.
Like, but then when you start to see it, like this chaos patterning was one of mine, where if soon as the things were getting really good, oh my God, I was like, yes, 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 yes. Everything was so chaotic. There was so much going on. So I couldn't actually even be with the success. And my nervous system was just like, okay, we're in chaos again. We're really safe. Because we've got to remember that safety is not success. it's actually what's familiar. And
Yes.
so with this, it's like, yes, are we just pulling this forward, or is there actually another way of being where we can hold all this and be calm and regulate and all the things in our body? I'm digressing a bit into the type of work that I do. But in answering this, I think the real question underneath it is, do I know all the parts of myself that are creating at once? That's one part. And do I need to know all of them? No. But am I consciously aware of what part is creating at that time?
Uh-huh.
And one of the biggest things for me with this is, what are you anchoring into? What are you anchoring into? Because say with your friends and you're changing your friends and all the things, yes, absolutely. It may just be that nervous system going over and over and over again. But if your highest vision is of a woman that holds a certain level and standard of her friendships, and that's not being meeten, or that's not being meeten, that's not being met, how's my English today? That's not being met, then you're moving in alignment. So it's like, what are you anchoring into? What part is creating it, and what part are you anchoring into? Because then you can,
So
and this is
good.
what's so amazing when we're like the CEOs and we're the ones that come forward, like in our highest power, we actually get to choose. And it might be that there's a younger version of you that's playing out that loop, but the CEO can be like, I can see you playing out the loop and I can anchor into where we're going. And this is actually the loop. Or no, this actually is not alignment. Let's let it go. And so I think we get to choose. I don't think it has to be and or, but really connecting back into, okay, who's moving with this? And sometimes we catch her straight away or him straight away, those other parts of us, and sometimes we don't, and we have to learn the lesson. So
That's so good. I really liked how, I guess this is the beauty of like speaking to people who give, like, who really care about living their biggest life and like constantly growing and like seeing mastery. You know, that's, I like that word, like where you're really looking to master because you know, that I think you're spot on is like I like that. I like how you said what are you anchoring into because ultimately like what is the ideal vision in whether it's like in the business side it could be like the money the clients the but also the experience within the business the feeling the vibration within the business like what's the ideal and then if I'm anchoring into that then it almost becomes easier it's like okay this decision or this thought or this action does it align with that bigger vision and if yes then I just move forward with it if no then I just stay so I think that's a really beautiful way like almost then the rest of it almost it like goes out the window in a way and I think that's why it's so important to you like you were describing like working with someone on this stuff and becoming more and more aware of like the little things and the patterns oh, I feel like I could speak to you for hours but I'll I'm gonna go to the next question because I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this so um ooh Oh, okay, I'll ask you this. How do you distinguish between being in flow and just being busy or productive? So what would you say is like the energetic difference for you?
again, I have to keep dropping back to the body that you are going to busy yourself. It's not to say when you're in flow that you don't do things. You do, and you do them with that speed as we spoke about. Absolutely. But there's a difference between being busy, and I think busy is like the I need to write the email. It's just that it's that framework. And don't get me wrong, I have frameworks. I have frameworks. I have structure that I do, but I also don't because my biggest conversions from a business perspective are when I'm in flow. It's when
Same.
I'm lying there in bed at night, settling my 2-year-old next to me, and I'm like, and I grab my phone and I'm like, and I download, and I'm like, there it is. And then two women come in, and whatever it might be. And again, it's the body. The body will tell you. It's really hard for anyone, but particularly entrepreneurs and business owners, to understand that, me saying it's the body if you're not in your body, right? If you have never been connected to your body space, and I hold so much compassion to this because I am a psychologist, I'm a doctor of neuropsychology, all the things I learned about the brain, and I lived my life in my head for 30 something years before I came back into my body and started feeling my feelings and trusting my feelings. And so to know you're in flow state is to know you're in your body, to know you're in the present moment. There was something really beautiful that I share a lot with my clients now and really transformed my understanding around being present and where I make my moves from being in my flow state. And your body is only ever in the present moment. Like, even though we can visualize our 2-year-old self, visualize our 7-year-old self, visualize next week, visualize. Your body only ever exists in the present moment. You don't have a 2-year-old body anymore. You don't have a 50-year-old body. You are only ever present now. And so being in that flow state is being in the body, is being in the now. And so there's this like divine connectedness to knowing that's where you are. When you feel the pull of next week, next month, last one, you're not in your flow state. It's not to say that, and I know we spoke about this earlier, which was so divine. It's not to say that we don't plan, we don't learn from our experiences and things like that. Absolutely. But when you're moving from your flow state, you're moving from now. You really are.
It is so funny because it's helping me. I like love this stuff and breathe this stuff, and yet it's really helping me like cement like my own like comprehension of this. And this is why like I just love it so much. I want to come back because you mentioned before you were like, like it's natural to have those contractions and then those expansions. And I think before, as someone who's a very like, or this is interesting as language, but like up until now, someone who has very all in and like loves to play full throttle and like kind of quite black and white. I was like, oh, like shouldn't it then be magic all the time, expansion all the time, flow all the time? Like, and I guess I was just more curious in my own mind, like if it's like I shouldn't I be able to then achieve that or create that or plug into that kind of frequency? And like what you said before, no, like what about this beautiful sort of like kind of like contractions when you're giving birth? It's like that natural the waves. And if in birth that happens, and we're all like my audience and people are women, then why wouldn't it happen in this sort of other like other all these other states? Like I actually love that so much. And that way you're not constantly like gripping for like the next flow state, but you're more like allowing, oh, there's a bit of a contraction here. And ironically, that gets you back into insane fire and flow and expansion quicker, as opposed to like gripping so hard for like when is the next gonna be there? Because I've definitely done that myself where it's like when I'm not in it, it's like, oh my gosh, and like almost like some like you were saying before, like something's wrong, like something must be off. And I think the reason women like us, and I know I'm thinking about my audience, I'm thinking about my clients, it's like I think the reason we want to get back to the flow state is because we know that that is where all the juice is. We know that that's where the gold comes in. We know where that's where the clients flow in. Like, and I don't know if this is the case for everyone. Like, I think about my business, my husband, and he runs his own business as well. And he's much more in his like transactional, you know, and not fully, but still, there's a lot more like sort of transactional business. So for him, I wouldn't say it doesn't, it's not, it feels like it's not the same laws. It feels like it's not the same rules. And so sometimes I've thought about my clients and I'm like, they're the kinds of people I've seen people blow up like over and over again. But it's often because it's these kinds of people. It's like, it doesn't matter whether they run a PR business, a PT business, a coaching business, or whatever. It's like when they are in their core and they're like aligned and they're in their soul flow, it goes insane. So my question to you is this, with your clients, when do you find that they suddenly have either maybe this is when they come to you and they're like not in flow. So like you can tell, you can feel it. Like they're not in their truly aligned position. They're not in that soul-fueled money like abundance. Like you could almost feel why they're not getting clients because it's like it feels a bit desperate. Maybe they're in their scarcity, maybe they're in their heads. Like what keeps us away from that like insane soul flow?
This, my whole body is like, can we just talk forever?
Yeah,
Like,
like the next 10 years, like literally, I feel like this is like a mirror. Yes, it's amazing.
oh, this is so good. So, what keeps us away from the flow is the suffering around the contraction.
Yeah.
So, as you said so beautifully, everything dies and is born again. You look at nature, you look at things that we have nothing to do with, the majority of it, there is a cycle. There's always a cycle. And one of the things that kept coming through when you said this is that you cannot build your next level from your current identity. You can't. You have to let go of the pieces that
Oh,
no longer belong as you level up. And from a nervous system perspective here, every time you get to the edge of who you know yourself to be. So we're thinking about our nervous system being like what like fires together, wires together. So you're wired to be Olivia, Courtney, all these other beautiful people in the world. You're wired in a way. You're going up to a next level. That version of you is not coming. She's not. He's not. And I say this with love. I say this with compassion. I don't say this with there's anything wrong with the current version of you. But if you are expanding into holding more, there are parts of you that you have to let go to expand into holding more. And we suffer around that. We
This is so
suffer around, we do, right? We suffer around the loss of the parts of us because we don't want to let it go because it's safe. It's safe. And remember, even if it's not serving us, it's safe because it's familiar. And so when we get into a contracted state, and you said it so beautifully, when we get into a contracted state, we go, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. I'm contracted. I'm on my flow state. When am I getting my flow state again? Da, 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 da. And this is what I teach my clients to do. We always celebrate the contraction. You come into my one-to-one space, you come into any of my spaces, you're in contraction. I'm like, yes, what's coming? This is amazing. It's like we're shifting the wiring, the perception of I'm contracted. And we're like, okay, there's a part of you that, is asking to be released. There's a level coming that you're about to step into. This is a sign, and this is like really tapping into that growth mindset of like, there's no failure. There's nothing wrong with contraction. There's nothing, I don't even say good and bad emotions. Like there's low vibration, there's high vibration. Like all of the other judgment is the mind. And it's same with these cyclical cycles that we go through, these cyclical stages that we go through. It's like a contraction, of course. Okay, there's shedding and I'm stepping up, and I'm shedding and I'm stepping up. And so with that, I can't even like recall the exact question, like how was it, how do we get back in, or what do we
like
do to get back into
is
flow?
but you've done like oh my God like I don't know about you guys who are listening in, but I'm like gold, 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 and like oh my God, I you don't understand, like I am finding this so like helpful like myself. Um, you basically my question was like your clients when they come to you and you can tell that they're not in their soul flow, but you answered perfect. Basically, you're saying like you start celebrating the contractions, and that in itself is the mindset shift of all mindset shifts. And I think that's something I have not done. It's funny because deep down, I always knew that like, oh yeah, because what you described is like you can see the patterns, like you can look back and you'd be like, oh, every time there's a cycle, every time there's a down thing, then there's like this massive like up level. But sometimes it doesn't happen right away. But I think now I'm realizing that the speed can be massively accelerated when you don't hold on to the old stuff. And then also, yes, and when you, what you said, which is like you don't freak out every time there's a contraction. And the reason for me this is such gold, like on a like another level as well, as you said, you were talking about contractions, celebrating, oh, what was it as well? It's like celebrating, yeah, and I guess it's like it's funny because before I think I always thought like, oh, it has to be about like you have to trust, you have to trust, you have to trust. And although yes, that in itself is another conversation, but it's almost like it's not even the trust, it's more just looking at nature and being like everything works in cycles, then so do you. And can you just, oh, yes, this. You said like, oh, you gotta leave. It's almost like you're leaving behind your old identity. And only until that moment I realized how much I've been trying to, like luggage, like take my suitcases with me to the next level. And I'm like, it's so funny because it's like on the one hand, I feel like, yeah, there's been like a lot of expansions, like all, but I'm like, only now I'm really seeing what you said is like, yeah, you cannot take that stuff with you. And I've heard that before, but I think it's just the way that you said it. It's like you cannot take it with you. And actually, like you trying to take it with you is what slows the whole process down. Like I even can feel that now. It's like I've stepped into a gazillion new levels, new versions, whatever. But it's like now I'm like, oh, but I'm still holding on to who I thought I was. Even, and it's so interesting because you're like, because it's familiar. And I was thinking, I think it's because there's a genuine love for the like the old or the even the year ago me. But the irony is it's like then I have such a value around like adventure and novelty and like newness, right? Like all these things. And it's like novelty and newness, same. And it's like, but you can't like there then you have to let go as well. So I'm just curious what comes up for you based on that, if anything.
No, the letting go. I think this is the thing, and this is when you can get yourself in like the personal development spaces and things like that. And it's like death of the ego, release it, and it's like love, 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 love. Like what you're saying, like love her back, love her back, love her back. I love you and thank you and this is where we're going. And this is a process I take myself through. This process I teach my clients is like when you get to that edge and you get confronted and it's like really sticky and you're like, oh my gosh. And she's there and she's screaming and she's like, no, like, what about this? What about that? However that's coming up, that resistance, that edge,
Oh, I
that
love that.
contraction. I always pause. I'm actually teaching this so wild in a workshop tomorrow. I call it to the pause to the power, and there's different variations of it, but essentially I check in with this. I check in with this version of her that's like, keep me safe, keep me safe, keep me safe. I say, what do you need? What do you need to say? And I love you. I honor her. I give her what she needs in that moment as this newer version of me. And then I'm like, and we're going to move. And I gently just, it's not this like, masculine's coming in. I love the masculine. Like we all need that divine part of us as well. But that like, no, that grit and stuff, it's like, no, this gets to be gentle. This gets to be kind. This gets to be like compassion with yourself as you move and grow and evolve. And I know, as I said before, as you get to the edge of who you are and step into that new level of your identity, it can feel like a death. And so even that, oh my gosh, this is really sad, or, I really don't want to get let go of this part of myself. Like, just to give you a little tiny bit of my backstory, I am a neuropsychologist. I had this clinical business and all this, this whole world of who I was. And I
Mhm.
had a huge personal journey and I birthed this new business and it's soul aligned and all the things. That process of letting her go, this version of me that kept me safe for 20 plus years, that gave me my self-worth, that gave me everything. I didn't just say, see ya, hun, thanks. It was a grief, it was a loss, it was a love, it was this magical mess of me becoming who I am right now. And so, again, when we start to build more resistance, it's the mind kicking in saying this process should be different than what it is. This should feel different than what it is. And one of the biggest things with my clients and my work as well, I'm like, open, 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 open to all of this, to all of this. The more you experience, the more you will experience. The more you open to the contraction, the more you will expand. It's duality. It's duality. And so that's what's coming through when you say that. It's like we can't keep denying the parts of ourselves that are so natural. That is what is stopping you tapping into your divine flow.
I'm just like, can't even right now. I can't even right now. Um, it's so it's so true. Like I was just thinking because I told Courtney before I jumped on that like I had just asked for the link for doing another year in the program that we're both part of. And I was just it's so funny because I noticed myself do this thing where it's almost like I was like, okay, quick, quick, we gotta rip off the band-aid, quick, 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 quick. And like we gotta tear off. It's like almost like a tearing off, you know? Now look, like now I can see that. Even yesterday I wouldn't have been able to say that. I would have been like, I don't do that. But now I can see it based off of what you just said. It's like actually what it is, it's like it's a fear of feeling, right? It's like in my case, and it's like, actually feeling, okay, maybe a couple things. Feeling the fear of like, oh my God, what if this doesn't work? What if this is reckless? What if this is crazy? What if this is extravagant? What if things don't go the way I planned? And then I'm suddenly committed to another year of like investments. So it's like feeling the actual fear of like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? And then also though, it's also like being kind to the part of me who's like trying to keep me safe and trying to be like, oh, don't do that because I have a whole story prior burning my business down, getting up to $40,000 in debt and having to like get a part-time job and and it was like everything I was afraid of happened. I had to borrow money from my parents for my tax bill. I had to borrow money from my husband, which was like I was like the self-reliant person. I mean, still to these days, like it's still something I like, work on. And it's like I think it's what you said. It's like actually more gentle and like just you mentioned the word like grief and like a rebirth and like yeah, I guess it's like it's so funny because I think with especially I'm thinking about my audience and my clients, it's like because we do move fast and that's beautiful. And we do have like our masculine and we have our feminine, we have both, but like with our masculine, sometimes it's like, okay, like let's go, let's go, let's go. Like we're doing things and that's great. But sometimes in these moments of actually like making a big investment in your business, changing gears, making a pivot, or just being in the void where you've just launched a few things, a new product, a new whatever, and like being in the void of like not seeing something yet. Like any of those things, it's like we kind of want to like rush through it so we can like ignore and deny the feelings and just be like, let's go. But instead, what you're describing is like actually like can you slow it down in that moment? You know, can you slow it way down and actually feel all the fear? And ironically, then you would do it so much quicker and it would feel so much better. And oh, and then I'm just remembering what you said about the fact that it's like I'm paraphrasing, but it's like the deeper we go into our contraction and the more we feel the contraction and just really not sit with it is not really the word that comes to mind, but it's almost like when we be with it, then ironically the expansion, like you were saying, is like can be so much bigger and wilder and like and also in my what I've experienced is faster as well. Like cool. So like this is so good. I feel like what do I want to ask you one more question and then we'll wrap up, but this has been like out of control. Like I feel like Courtney, have you written a book before? Yeah? No, you have to write a book. Like you have to write
Okay.
a book yesterday and then you need to send me the copy like right away. Um, okay, let me see. Oh, okay, yes. This is something I do want to ask you. I mean, I feel like I want to ask you about a billion other questions, but um, what are your unique, like your personal rituals during the day? And I can already like sense a few of the ones that you've brought up today, um, that like keep you in your heart center and keep you aligned, regardless of whether you're in a contraction or whether you're in an expansion, that keep you really as aligned as possible so that you're in that soul flow. Like, what would you say are your unique sort of like little rituals that you do? It might be things that you say or things that you do or anything like that.
I love this. The biggest thing to start with just the context here, and this took me a while. Like as I said, I've studied the nervous system for so, like I know so much from like an academic, logical perspective, but this really didn't land in my body probably until about 2 years ago, maybe a year ago,
Oh,
around that time. Who you are is created
yeah.
every moment of every day, right? It's created. And so when I heard this, and I did Tony Robbins when I was 16, I've been in so many personal development spaces over the last, few decades. And I would hear this, like you command it, you command your attention to go here. Like we know where your attention goes, energy flows. Like, and it was all headspace stuff. It wasn't body space stuff. And then it landed. And my rituals, like to loop back and answer that question, is that I, as consciously as I can, and that word mastery, oh my gosh, it is so divine. It is so
Isn't it?
sexy, and like all the things, because we get to hold ourselves in like when we drop into the default, and then we get to come back to consciousness and drop in the default and come back again. But I create it as I go. The first time I saw someone do this, I was so contracted because I was like, you're lying. Like, you're lying. What do you mean? You don't have the evidence and you're doing it anyway. And oh my gosh. And my whole brain freaked out. And I was like, you're totally lying. You need evidence first. And then I started to do it. And then I started to see. So every day I wake up and I do, and it's cliche, but it's not cliche. When it lands in your body, I wake up and I say, thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Every morning, every morning. I drop into the body sense of gratitude every morning now. I command in a really beautiful, feminine way that this is who I am. This is who I am. And I really focus on it. And when I feel myself come out of it during the day, I recreate, I recreate, I
Say, oh,
recreate.
I need to know this. When you say this is who I am, are you visualizing the version of you that you can see in your bigger vision? Or when you say this is who I am, who are you putting emphasis on?
I shared a little bit about it here is the anchor. Who am I anchoring into? Because yeah, the vision, the future self. And all my work is based on future and in the present, the future in the present. Because what I found being a psychologist, having seen psychologists, all the things, is that the focus was on the past
Yeah, right.
and rewriting the past and thinking about the past and processing the past and we know where your attention goes, energy flows. So our past, we're getting bigger and I couldn't do anything about it. And I was like, this is crazy. And then I shifted it and I was like, okay, who am I becoming? Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? What does she do? What does she look like? How does she move? How does she feel? What are her decisions? When we talk about that speed and that heart alignment, you tap into her and you move from her or him you're moving quick because what would she do? What would she do? What would she do? So it's not years until you become her, it's weeks, it's days. Some weeks I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just had another lifetime because it's like, what does she do? What does she do? And then the world, the universe, divine, whatever you want to call it, matches that speed. And so this is who I tap into. I create her a lot. She shifts, she evolves as I evolve. Like she's almost dancing the dance with me as well. But that's who I create, and that's who I tap into when I hold that space.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. How do you avoid, because I've played that game. That was my entire signature program was called Identity, Next Level Identity. Right? So this is like my world. But what's interesting in the last 8 months, I've moved away from that world slightly because, and I'm so curious because I feel like you're gonna get me to go right back into it. It's gonna be amazing. The reason I've like kind of slowly removed myself is because I felt like at times I would no longer be present to what was because in a way it's almost as if it felt if I was almost getting into my head about not like getting in my head like I'm overthinking, not like that, but like getting in my head of like, who is she? Okay, she would be doing this, this, and this. She'd be thinking like this. She'd be focusing like this. She'd be breathing like this. She'd be standing like this, etc. And then I would live into that. But then it almost felt like I was no longer truly in my body in the now. Whereas when I stopped thinking about her, I came back into the now. So I'm really curious, tell me what's coming up for you around that piece.
That is so beautiful. It's really interesting because taking my clients through this experience
Yes.
and creating the future self, we do it in all whatever level you come into me because I'm like, where are we ground? What's the anchor? So
Yeah.
I have had this experience in some clients, it being a disempowered space.
Right.
And we recreate it, but there was one client in particular that stands out where I took her into this process. She met her future self, and then she got very disempowered because she's like, it's so far away. It's so far away from me. I have so
For
far
me,
to
it
go.
felt here, like as in it was me now, but then it was, and the reason I'm asking this because I know a lot of my clients have done a lot of identity work, and I've done a lot of it, and it's amazing. Like it has gotten me to where I am today. Like the reason my life, my business, all the things are the way they are is like 90% because of the identity mindset work I've done. But so I feel like there's like a missing piece, and I'll have to like dive into this with you on another in another space in another portal. But I guess I'm curious, like how do you feel like you stay in the now whilst being the future version of you?
My brain's like, how woo can we go?
Oh, you can go as woo as you like.
When I understood that there is no time
Yes,
and anything that we are ever trying to seek is actually a vibration. It's a feeling. You want the Porsche because it's going to give you a feeling. You want the
absolutely.
million dollars, it's going to give you a feeling, right? We get that. It's the feeling of her. It's not actually the separation of becoming this other thing that's separate to you. You are her. There's no distance.
Yeah.
And it's just more collapsing the time. So it's so funny. And I feel like I'll have to ponder this a bit more, a bit deeper, because for me, she's always been me.
Yes, I know what you
Never,
mean. Oh,
there's
she's
never been
always been me.
there's
It's
never
so
a separation.
Mhm.
So I there's my default, which keeps me safe. I love her too because she's kept me safe up until this point, and she has all her adaptive mechanisms that no longer serve. I love her. There's her that wants to keep pulling me back into a version that's familiar of my now, and then there's her who I'm rising to. And so, but they're both me. And so it's more, again, where that attention goes is that I go to the future when I'm making these decisions. I'm like, I want this deep connection with my husband. I want this. I want, I desire this. What would she do? What would she have? Would she let this go? Would she make this business decision? And then it doesn't feel like this, there's no separateness because I am her already.
Right. So then when you move through your day, do you feel like you're just moving as her without really being too in your head about it?
Mm. And I can tell when I'm out. I can tell when, I maybe hold on to a little tiff with my husband a bit too longer. I'm like, excuse me, she is the most lit up version of her. She has the hot, sexy relationship with her husband. She defies all the rules of relationships. What's she going to do in this moment? She's going to let it go. She's going to let it go. there is sometimes pain and suffering that comes with that because you want to hang on and be like, no, to the old stuff. But then you just release and you just step in. And I think this is it. We don't do it once. It's a rewiring process. We do it over and over and over again. But one of the biggest things that comes through with this question is the separation. And this is can often, again, where people get in their heads, it's like, visualize the future as if it's so real that it's
Oh,
realer
yeah.
than the one in front of you. And so because you don't have the portion, you're still renting your house, you feel lack, right? But it's not actually about that. It's about the feeling. And that's the point anyway. Like looping back to what I said before, that you have your business exploding, it's amazing, all the things, but you're in chaos and your nervous system's like super hyperactive. It's like, what's the point? If you can't enjoy it right now, what's the point? And I know she enjoys life, so I make sure I enjoy life now. I know she's connected, so I'm connected now. And so maybe it's taking it that little step deeper, but there's no separation from me and her. She just reminds me who I really am.
I think when you said it's all about the vibration anyway, and it's all about the feeling anyway. And it's so funny because when I first saw Courtney on Shoshana's, I don't know, it was like a call. That's what I can see is like you are that vibration. And so, and like you said, like that's the whole point like in general. It's this is what okay, this is what's coming up. I want to know if somebody's like, because I want to, if someone wants to go deeper on specifically your identity piece, which what you said seems like it's like a thread that goes through your entire, like all the different programs and courses and your one-on-one work and all the things. Where would people go? Because I think people will want to know that, and I want to know that.
In terms of creating her or working with me or just
With
generally
you.
or
So specifically your like a course or a program or like your where would people what program or course would people sign up for to be like I want to I want to specifically do this sort of like identity work, this sort of like visioning her, like where would they go? What would they go to?
oh my gosh, I love this because I have like going back to the death and rebirth. I have done
Yes.
this so many times and I'm about to launch tomorrow. How divine is this? Rise to Radiance is the 6 week
Rise to
program.
radiance.
Yeah. Where
And
it's
and
that
that's
radiance.
identity.
That's yeah, this is the identity. So we're anchoring in when you consciously want to shift your identity, there's fundamentals that you have to understand. You have to be able to pull back to see the lens. You have to see the identity. You have to see why she's attached. You have to love her back in the process. We can't shame ourselves into change. We can't, you know what I mean? So there's so many layers to this. But the first, every time you come into my world, even if it's one to one, it's like, where are we going? Where are you going? What is she? What does she feel like? What does she look like? How is she moving? And yeah, so it will come through at all the levels, but Rise to Radiance is the big one. That's the 6 weeks where we just go deep into that and we just bring her out because, as I said before, there's no separation. So I know she's already there. I just pull her. I don't, but I help you pull her out to that level of radiance where it goes and it weaves. And I love that you said it weaves through because this is it. It's the ripple. It's the ripple into your relationship, into your business, into all of it.
It's so like I honestly like I cannot even I feel like I am speechless, which is very unusual for me. No, it's this is so good, Courtney. And I think the beauty of this is that you are truly the embodiment of like that vibration and you were prior and like you are again and I see it through your reels and everything and I think that's why this the is it called Rise to Radiance is gonna like explode and if it doesn't explode now it'll like, continue to explode over time because it's like you literally like are a living breathing like embodiment of it. So I'm gonna go check that out. I'm really curious. This has been amazing. I obviously I'm gonna like get you on my podcast as well and all the things, but this has been amazing and I just like this is what I want to do is like for anyone who's curious about Courtney, I would straight away go personally, I would go check out her Instagram because just like her reels, like you'll get even more of like a feel for who she is. I mean, already here, I'm sure you're like, I know exactly what she's like. So is that where you'd recommend people to go to your Instagram page?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just one platform type of gal, all
Yeah,
Instagram.
of
Yeah.
course you are. That makes it so much easier. And then what's called, I'll put it on the show notes, but can you remind us what it is on your like your handle on Instagram?
Courtney.Spiteri.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll be putting loads of clips of this all over the place. And there'll be this on the like summit notes. So you'll have that, you guys. This has been like pure joy, pure gold. Like I cannot even explain how amazing this has been. I'm just like I cannot wait to dig into your stuff. But like, and I already have, but I'm like even more so now. But it's just been amazing, such an absolute pleasure. And this is your evening time, and you've just been like radiant and incredible. So yeah, thank you, Courtney, for your time. And for those of you guys who are like listening in, obviously. We'll have like three other incredible speakers like Courtney over the next few weeks. And then obviously you'll receive this as a recording. So if you have any questions or any breakthroughs or you just want to share your takeaways, like please feel free to like definitely message me. And I'm sure Courtney's going to be eager to hear like big aha moments. Like I had about 20, so I think there'll be quite a few on there. And yeah, thank you for your time, Courtney. This has been just really amazing.
Oh, this has been so divine. Thank you so much. Thank you for co-creating this experience. Like this has been everything. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Have an incredible rest of your day wherever you guys are in the world, and I will see you for the next interview for this beautiful soul-fueled money summit. Bye, everyone. Bye, Courtney.